Hello and welcome back to Wine and Wine with me, Sam Loy, and my lovely co-host Russell Cutting. We're going to continue our set review of Innistrad Midnight Hunt, and we're onto the red cards this time. So if you haven't seen the rest of these, please go back all the way to the start and give it a view. And we will be talking a little bit more about the mechanics in the earlier videos. We don't want to repeat ourselves, but at the same time want to give you a look at every single color in the set. We particularly feel that this color that we're doing right now, red, is really strong, probably only outdone by green. And we're going to get started with one of our first curses that we've talked about, which is Curse of Shaken Faith. Russell.
Yeah, for sure. So Curse harkens back to the original Innistrad set. Curses have always been a thing where you're kind of like a enchantment that negatively affects a player. So it is pretty much always designed to enchant your opponent, which is pretty cool. I like that. Like you're
enchant
hexing
player,
your opponent.
You know?
Yeah, you're hexing your opponent, which is gas. This one maybe won't see too much standard play. We're looking at a cheap hate card for someone who's playing multiple spells, which typically immediately points to mind to something like Storm or Prowess strategies, which are more likely seen in older formats like Historic or Modern. Obviously, it doesn't come on the first turn, but it starts to stymie after that. There are some effective cards in white which limit a player to only casting one spell per turn. But if you're not in those colors, and in red particularly, say it's like a burn strategy, this is certainly something you could implement in your arsenal as something to like beat a combo deck, which can often outpace the burn strategy. So, yeah.
I mean, I find this card personally offensive, and I'm disgusted to put it on the list.
Sorry, I hate it too, but it's very good.
I mean, it's like a curse target Sam. But
yeah.
you know, here we are. You know, it's a fine version of this. I don't like when this happens to me.
How nice is the artwork?
But I'd rather pay 2 life than not being able to cast a second spell. I'll put it that way. So I think this is probably a relatively balanced version of this effect, and it's nice when red gets some hate pieces.
With every spell they cast, right? Every spell after the first turn.
Yeah.
So
I prefer hate to be broken up between colors a little bit more, especially when there's no cycle involved. Like, there often we'll get a hate cycle, but mostly when it's just a hate card, it finds its way into white and white / another color. This is nice, and we do get every once in a while we'll get some red hate bears and some rampaging Frostodons and all the rest of it. But I think that this is probably a relatively fair way of doing this, and it's nice that it exists in a non-white color.
Yeah, and I love the art.
The art is really cool. The whole concept of curses is cool as well. I'm echoing you on that as well. But no, there's no need to come at me like this. All right.
Bro.
Let's talk about something else that will be coming at us both, which is Falkenrath Pit Fighter. Hey, it's a red mana. It's a red 2/1 for 1. It's a Savannah Lions with an upside in red. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So I actually think that the ability on this is pretty good.
Yes. Jackpot is potentially one of the best that we've seen in a while. Don't know if it's the best, but it's certainly
it has been a while since
be...
they've done this as well, which is nice.
Yeah, we got Falkenrath Gorger in Dark Ascension, which was also a Vampire 2/1, which had a madness theme, Jackal Pup type thing to it.
And this is similar in a way, right? So we have to sacrifice...
It actually does pair well, yeah.
Yeah, we have to sacrifice a vampire, not just any creature. So this is going to be a little bit more limited if we're going to be thinking about the activated ability. That being said, this probably finds its way into red decks. And if you are playing one of those mono-red aggro sort of strategies and you do flood out, sometimes you'll see this on the top of your deck and you're like, you know what? I'm glad it wasn't the 2-mana spell that can't sacrifice itself to replace itself. And this will get it yourself a little further into your deck and maybe find that relevant burn spell to close the game out. I like this. I've played a reasonable amount of mono red when the strategy has been good. I'm a big fan of burn spells, so I think that this card's it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's not sacrifice another vampire, so it can sacrifice itself. Extremely important. It gives you a way to turn dead lands into potentially more spells. I think this has applications both in standard, potentially right now, or potentially in the future when we get Crimson Moon, which is a vampire-themed Innistrad set to come next. And it could certainly creep its way into cubes as a replacement for one of the one drop in Red Deck wins because it does a lot of what that deck wants to do. So
It's also a
I think
decent discard outlet that's still a creature, right? So
yes, yeah. I
it
mean,
is a
does
double
multiple
duty
things.
card in cubes. It's probably not a double duty card in any constructed deck, but in cubes you can put this in as your 3 mana tormenting voice effect at the same time as it is a Jackal Pup Savannah Lions hybrid thing. Yeah, big fan.
Subtly powerful card. You are getting a lot for 1 mana here, and I find myself remiss to not mention a card that costs 1 mana and does something else. So this is a potential 3 for 1 on 1 mana.
Two. Well, if Madness exists, maybe. Yeah.
Madness, or if it gets a couple of hits in and then turns a land and itself into 2 more
A
cards.
relevant card,
So,
yeah, after it gets blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So it does some
it's
stuff.
nice
It
to have
does-
aggro cards that are relevant in more stages of the game.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's a very, very cool card, and Vampire and Warrior are relevant-ish. So
Yeah.
love-
As we
love this
mentioned,
card.
party is still around, so like some of these
Yeah.
keywords are going to matter. So it's going to be. It's always hard to learn the subtypes or what we feel are the subtypes, especially in a tribal set like Innistrads tend to be. But it may be for this set, unless you're a werewolf, the other type may actually be the relevant factor. So interesting stuff. Good card, and yeah, I did great design. I'm a big fan of it. We have next up a card that you are a particular fan of, and I feel like I don't understand yet, and that is Moonveil Dragon. Oh, sorry, Moonveil
yeah.
Regent.
Moonveil Regent, which is a dragon.
It is a dragon. It's a dragon.
I have a Dragon EDH deck, and I always like to see draw the spoilers for dragons, and as a Dragon Reanimator deck. I'm like, ugh, it costs 4 mana. It can't at all be good. It's got to be hyper efficient and not at all splashy. But this is potentially one of the best cards in the set. I'm going to say it now. It is reminiscent back to the Ravnica card. My brain's not working anymore because I've had most of bottle of wine.
That'll happen on Wine and Wines from time to time.
Yes.
Well,
The
so
format
Russell introduced this to me as the same way as you just did then, which was this might be one of the best cards in the set, and I was like, what? And I said immediately, let's save this for the recording. So, why is this one of the best cards in the set, Russell?
So if you're looking, I'm just trying to remember the 4 mana enchantment that I'm thinking of. That was a rare that blitzed. You could play cards from the top of your deck, but you couldn't draw cards.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
Yeah.
That card,
As a mono red card, it's Experimental Frenzy.
experimental
with upside,
frenzy.
yeah.
So this is an experimental frenzy on a 4/4 for 4 flying, which is perfectly reasonable. So that is one of its modes. A lot of people look at this and they're going to think, it has to be in a multicolored deck. I have to be drawing. If I'm discarding my hand, I have to be drawing 2 or 3. So people automatically be like, this is a 5-color card. It's like, no, this card is perfectly reasonable in a 1 to 2 color deck. You aggro out, you go you 1, 2, 3, you play this card, you play your land, and you only have maybe 1 card in hand. Is it a good one? Maybe. You play it. The other thing about this, it's not quite experimental frenzy, it's better than that because each of its abilities its ability is a may. You may discard your hand. You don't have to every time. So you get that decision every time you play a spell after it's in play. Is my hand good enough, or do I want to get rid of it and draw a card? It can stock your graveyard, which is about to enter a graveyard-based set. So, I've got 3 cards in my hand that are better in my graveyard than they are in my hand. So I can draw 3 cards, quote unquote, by discarding my 2 graveyard activated cards and drawing an extra card. That's only if you're monocolored. In older formats, something like Manamorphose, you are going to be discarding your hand and draw 3 cards for 0 mana. It does so much. It is a great top end for a monocolored or 2-colored deck. If you are looking to branch into 3-color decks, you are doing multiple things. If you are looking at older formats where you have hybrid spells, they count as multiple color types. This does so much, and it's on a splashable body, which is a 4/4 flying for 4. This card's absurd. This card's absolutely absurd. And I haven't even got to that second part where it can like grenade off. Sure, it can fizzle sometimes and do nothing. If you happen to be in a 2-color deck, it dies and shocks something. And that's any target, planeswalker, creature, or player. If you're in... Okay, yeah. It just does so much.
Russell, you had me at Experimental Frenzy with flying and a 4/4 body.
Experimental Frenzy that attacks for 4.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see it.
Come to me. Come into the embrace of Moonvale region.
We're gonna get there. I know we're gonna get there. I just,
This card's gonna get played.
It's gonna get played.
This and Considerate are the 2 best cards in this set.
You heard it here first. If not, we want your money back.
Burn your wildcard commons. Burn your wildcard mythics. Those 2 cards.
Wildcard commons are actually way harder to come by for me, so that's going to be the issue.
When you play the blue common, you discard your hand and you draw 2 cards.
That's true. It's nice that this effect actually stacks separately from the cast as well.
Yeah.
So if you have multiple instants, you can actually stack with May discards, and you can just keep checking. And like, is this worth discarding or not? And you can keep checking if you stack multiple spells. Cool. All right. Fantastic. I suspect people will know that this card is going to be good. Just from what you said, Russell.
Keep 4 mythic wildcards for this card. I guarantee you.
All right. Well, we're going to move from that to a card that I am more passionate about, which is Guy's Flame Reservoir. Oh, I know, but more passionate than the other one. Okay. So this is an artifact in the long line of artifacts that we've had, which try to reward you for playing instants and sorceries. And we've had a bunch of them over the years, and I've tried to make them work, and a lot of them just don't. Like, they're just not good. And this one is, I think, probably the best that we've seen as pitched as a standard playable version of that card, which is, hey, you can burn for any amount of spells that every time you cast a spell, you put a counter on. You can burn by paying 2 and tapping it for the amount of counters it has on it. And you can keep as many as you like as well. By the way, you don't have to burn them all, so you can deal 1 damage to a 1/1 or whatever you need to do. The reason I think this card is really good is for the last ability. As I pay 2 and tap it, you can exile the top card of your library, and you may play that card this turn. So if this is a land on top of your library, you can still play it. And that is a big difference to a lot of the cards that we've seen in a similar vein, where it's like, you may cast it this turn. No. You may play it this turn, and that is an incredibly important distinction. If the top card of your library is a land, you don't want to just not hit your land drops if you're playing a controlling strategy. And a controlling strategy is the sort of deck with a longer sort of time frame where building up these counters is going to be worth it. So having those 2 pieces together and having this pushed a little bit more, having all the keywords correct instead of them working against each other in some way or another, makes me think that this is going to be good. I don't know how good this is going to be. I suspect if you want it, you want 4. And if you want 4 of this, you probably want some other spells in your deck that are also rewards, like Poppet Stitcher we found already, Demi Leech maybe the Witch, Sedgemoor Witch. There are cards existing that also reward you for similar strategies, so I suspect you'll find the payoffs. But I feel like this is also open-ended in the sense that you don't really know exactly what colors it's going to get played in. And I'm huge fan of this card.
Yeah, I think the fail-safe as an albeit expensive, but at least one-sided howling mine is what kind of tips it. Obviously, costing a red is a bit of a bane, but instants and sorcery decks do tend to be red and blue based, so it's not that much of a nudge in the wrong direction. And yeah, the fact that it can kind of provide quote unquote card advantage over the course of the game while storing up cards to present itself as a win condition. Yeah, this is a strong card. It's something I would love for it to see play. Whether or not it does, we will see. I'm going to pick one up anyway for a casual format because I think it is pretty cool. It's certainly a very interesting card design, and I think combines the best of what they've attempted in the past into a very neat little package that is frankly quite good.
Cool. All right. So we'll see how playable it is, but let's keep our fingers crossed. I'll definitely be testing this, by the way. So if it's not playable, I'll be the first to know. I think, or maybe I won't. Or maybe I'll be the last to know. Sometimes I'm the last to know when I'm testing the deck.
You just keep forcing it. Yeah.
That it's not good. All right, let's move over to something which is a little bit more. I would say just on base rate, just a good card. So this is a mechanic that exists, which is not a day-bound, night-bound mechanic, but requires the game to start tracking day-bound, night-bound stuff, or day or night. And if it's neither day or night, it becomes day. Cool. If it's night, you've already started tracking. If it was already day, you don't need to begin.
Yeah.
So basically, anytime you flip, you can pay 2, and if you do return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, I suspect this card is going to be a pain for people who are trying to beat it, and a card that I will be casting a lot.
Yeah. The Phoenix mechanic has been prevalent in Standard for last 5-ish plus years. We often they are on an aggressive bent, so they can kind of either they come into play tapped and attacking, or they have haste and can attack, so they are incentivized to attack, or they attack each turn if able. This does not have that caveat. They have put the kind of emergency valve on it saying that it returns to the battlefield tapped, so you can't do some shenanigans like mid-combat blocking, which I think would be a little bit too powerful when it has.
Yeah, it is a bit weird because it doesn't have haste, and you can't mid-combat it because you can't turn night to day mid-combat unless you have the Celestis. I like all that. It's totally fine. It's just a value 4/2, right? This is more in the...
It's very good.
It's synergistic with the fact that I am playing at instant speed. I can choose to flip day-night during my turn, or choose to, like, by casting 2 spells, but also by not casting any spells and casting spells on your turn. And I do like it. I think it's good. I think it's going to work well.
Yeah, all that being said, like, the whole reason why it has to enter the battlefield tapped is because it doesn't have to attack, so you can leave it back on blocking duty, and a 4-power flyer is going to check a lot of threats in the format, and for that to be recursive, it would be too powerful if it could come into play untapped. So I think we've seen with the Celestis, which we may talk about later, and I think just in general with the day-night mechanic in the set, it will be easily enabled, and there's a reason it's mythic. I think this certainly will be, in the right shell, quite a potent threat.
Yeah, I'm expecting this to see play in not only Standard. I think this could get played in Standard decks in older formats, which have a way of discarding it. But we'll cross that bridge when we have some more information, I think.
It's a good Phoenix. It's a good Phoenix.
It's a good incidental piece of value and a finisher at the same time. So I like it a lot. All right, so red has been a big, thick, and nice color slice for us in this set. Yeah. I think they've done really well. Here are some honorable mentions. We have Play with Fire. Notably was missing from our solid circle of uncommons that we had in the first video.
Could
The
have
only
been
reason
it.
that for that was I don't know. We had too many red cards. The cards are
It
really
was
good.
interchangeable with the one that we picked. Like it could have been that. It
Yeah,
could have
yeah. I
been
think they just
yeah,
got two. I just think they got two, and
yeah.
it's a good card, and it's just better than a shock.
Which I hate. I hate it.
I don't hate it, to be honest.
My
Like I
stronghold
think that shock
shocks.
is not good enough of a card. I
My
would like to see.
stronghold shocks.
I just want a lightning bolt. That's what I want.
Yeah, true.
Um,
We do kind of get a lightning bolt
yeah. I
in
mean,
this set. There's this 3 mana instant, but if it's night, it costs 1 mana and it's a bolt.
here's the thing though. Has to be night.
Yeah.
Lightning bolt never.
Play with fire. Yeah.
Lightning bolt don't
Play
care
with
about
fire is
that.
great. Play with
Anyway.
fire is a shock, and if it's a player, you get to scry one. Pretty good. Raise the
And then we
effigy.
have. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, raise the effigy. I only just noticed it when we were doing our second scroll through. It's a 1 mana shatter, but it can also give an attacking creature +2/+2. That's a very good card. It's the best shatter we've ever seen.
Yeah, it's a shadow that has potential to be main deckable in certain strategies, but even if you are only sideboarding it, it is a shadow that could instead just close the game quicker, which is a great way to shadow things, is to just have them never cast or never be relevant.
Shatter their head.
Yep.
Shatter the face.
There you go.
And the last card, Stormseeker, which red was so deep that I think this is quote unquote like would have been our top 5, but it's just a strong card, not so much an interesting card, but it certainly could have been up there. But
I think,
there are a lot
yeah,
of
I mean, to me, this is
very
like,
cool cards.
yeah, red has like a top 6 or 7, but this
Yeah.
is a very good card. On the front side, 2/3 that gives +1/+0 and haste. On the back side, +2/+0 haste and trample, and also a 3/4. The important thing about this card that people may miss on the first read through is that it may be night when this card enters. So if this enters as a 5/4, gives itself haste and trample, yeah, and it doesn't
On
need to
turn
do that.
3.
Yep. I mean, this is the thing that, like, if the board state requires you to trade creatures up, it's going to help. It's going to be if everything goes wrong and they're not playing a creature deck or they're playing control, whatever, this is a 3/3 haste for 3 with upside if they don't cast anything or if you don't cast anything. And look, the card's just straight good. Works well in multiples as well, because you can choose not to cast cards on your turn to flip yours and then make them wrath and then come back with the 5/4 haste trample. The card's very strong.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, red, really good color. There are plenty of other playables, but I think these were the top ones that really piqued their interest. So,
Yeah, I think red aggro is going to be very strong, and I think there's going to be other ways to play red as well, and that's nice.
Cool. Let's wrap it up and go to green.
All right, good to see you guys, and we'll see you back in green.